take your time and document your process. And the reason I say that is because when I started documenting my trades, I was able to basically make a highlight of every trade that I had that won and every trade that lost. And from that, I was able to synthesize, okay, what are the ingredients of a winning trade and what are the ingredients of a losing trade?
Hello everyone and welcome back to another TFT interview. Today I have the pleasure to host Kobe, who comes from North Carolina. Hello Kobe.
Hey Anna, thanks for having me on.
It's my pleasure. So can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into trading?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Kobe. I'm 25. I stay in North Carolina and I've been trading Forex since 2019.
And how did you find about Forex?
So I found out about trading in the summer of 2018, actually. And I was doing research on things like trading stocks and options trading and penny stocks and things of that nature. And during that process, I ended up finding out about Forex. And for some reason, it just intrigued me a lot more than stocks and penny stocks and options. So I decided to learn about it the best I can on YouTube. But I realized shortly that you don't know what you don't know. And so I can piece all these things together from YouTube, but like I understood that I wasn't getting the complete picture. So I did that for a couple of months. And then eventually I ended up finding out about IML because that's when I think 2019 is when IML became like a big thing, at least for me. And I found someone who was in the program and I was like, hey, like sign me up. Like I want to be part of this because I understood that I didn't really care about the trying to get people to sign up, but I understood that they have a database of information that I can utilize. And that was the main thing for me. So I signed up with them in 2019 and then I just began studying, going through all their videos, watching, their experts or whatever and seeing how they trade. And that's how I really got into it.
And was it the only community that you joined or you joined did you have other mentors?
No, that was it, honestly, just IML.
Yeah. And how long time did it take you to find your setup, to form your strategy?
Yeah, it took me until last year. So that was 2022 to really find my own strategy. Because what I realized is that there's so many different strategies out there. And the reality of it is that they can all work. They all have the potential to work, but it's about, it then comes down to the individual. Can you utilize this strategy correctly? Do you have the right psychology to maintain this strategy? Because if you don't, you can have a winning strategy, but if your psychology isn't in the right place, then you'll sabotage yourself anyways. So It doesn't matter. If you're not using the right risk management, if you're not using correct stop loss, if you're revenge trading, or if you're just doing all these impulsive things, you're going to mess yourself up anyway. So what I realized was, actually how I developed my strategy was during that time in 2022, I heard about high frequency trading and I was taking a look at that. And so it caused me to develop a strategy that I realized in order to win in high frequency trading, you have to win at least like 70% of the time and in order to be profitable. And so I developed a strategy that would allow me to win that percentage of the time at least. But then high frequency trading, I think it's bad because like me personally, when I trade now, I won't do anything that's less than a 1 to 1.5 ratio. So risk to reward ratio. With high frequency trading, you'll never get a 1-to-1, right? Like the way how they have it set up, you risk $100 to make $80 or $90 at the max. So it's always going to be a 1 to like a 0.9. So to me, that doesn't make any sense. So, but the benefit of that was I figured out a strategy that allowed me to win more times than not. So then I just took that strategy and I applied it to actual trading. And that's when I really began to see results.
Interesting. Yeah. What did you struggle with the most in all this journey, and how did you overcome those struggles?
Yeah. What I struggled with the most was definitely the psychology, because at first I didn't really understand how important risk management is, like I think that's one of the most essential things when it comes to trading, because you can have a winning strategy and you can have the potential to be profitable. But if your risk management is off, then you're going to mess it up. So for example, I know some people, when I first started learning about trading, they'd be like, oh, I only trade a 0.5 for every trade. And it's like, okay, well, how does that really make sense if sometimes your stop loss is 10 pips and sometimes your stop loss is 20 pips? If you win with that 10 pip stop loss and then you lose with that 20 pip stop loss, it's like you're going to blow your profits, right? So I didn't really understand that concept until like further down the line where it's like, okay, I should be risking a certain percentage per trade and I should stick to that percentage. That way I can develop consistency. So I didn't really understand that for like the first year. And then there was so many things. I was doing so many things wrong, just revenge trading and trading pairs on live accounts that I never back tested, and things of that nature. So what eventually got me out of that was just, I got tired of bumping my head. I got tired of losing trades. I got tired of making the mistakes because I saw that people were being successful. And I realized, okay, the people who are being successful, they're not doing these bad habits that I'm doing. So why am I doing it? So once I was able to recognize that, then I just said, okay, it doesn't make sense. It's not logical for me to do this. Let me stop doing it. And so I took a break and I said, let me focus on getting the right mindset, because if I just keep throwing myself in a situation, I'm going to keep messing up. So I took some time to really just focus on myself, work on developing the confidence in my strategy. And that really came from back testing. I think back testing is so underrated. Any new traders who want to become successful, you have to back test. I think for me, like that's probably the fastest way to get confident and to get profitable. Like back test, look at the numbers and see if it works. Does this strategy work the best during New York session? Does it work the best during London session? Do you need, low liquidity? Do you need something where the chart is trending often? And you can only figure that out by back testing. If you're just getting on your charts and you're trading in the moment, I don't think people will have the ability to sit there and analyze, okay, what are the conditions that I'm in and how is it affecting my trading if they're doing it live in a moment? Because there's so much emotions attached to trading. As much as people like to say have no emotions and when you're trading and things of that nature, that's not really practical. We're human beings. So unless you're like a sociopath, you can't really do that, So just that going through that process of developing my psychology and back testing is really what changed everything for me.
Did you do something else except of backtesting to improve your psychology?
Well, I was reading a lot of books, and I was reading books like Atomic Habits and Psycho-Cybernetics and The Mastery of Love, which, it doesn't really seem like it's related, but all these books that helped me to develop my mindset and just realize the importance of, one, pattern recognition, which is a huge thing, and then also just the awareness of my emotions, in a moment, and how to relieve anxiety, how to maintain confidence. All these things helped. And also not just back testing, but documenting what I'm back testing, right? So like for me, I know I'll go back on the charts, and when I'm back testing, I'm logging every trade that I back test, right? So I'm logging the entry, I'm logging the exit, and then I'm taking notes. I think this trade is going to win for this reason. I'm confident in this trade because of this. I have, these many confluences aligned. Like all of these things, documented all of these things is what really gave me the confidence, because then I was able to say, okay, in this month, my strategy won 7 times out of 9, like, and now you have the hard numbers in your face to back up what it is that you're feeling. Because I think a lot of times, especially when people are new into trading, they're just going off of what this feels like. This feels right. Price feels like it's going down. Price feels like it's going up, But once you actually have those numbers, and you have that logic, you feel so much sure of it. So documenting it made a big difference, because then I was able to go back and see, okay, I should continue to be like, okay, so for example, everyone has, even if you have an amazing strategy, like you'll just have market conditions where you have a little losing period, but because you have that research and those numbers and that hard data, you can say, okay, I can continue to be confident in my strategy because I have this data that supports what it is that I believe, And I think if you don't have that, sometimes you might say, dang, well, maybe this strategy actually didn't work. And then you'll end up changing strategies and doing all these other things because you didn't have the data to show you that your strategy actually did work, So that was really pivotal for me, actually.
That's a common mistake that I think all of us have done.
Yeah. Strategy hopping. I think that's pretty common, but I think the most important thing for people to do, well, at least the most important thing that I did for me was to lock in with one strategy, because the thing is like all these strategies have potential to work. The reality of it is that you don't really know until you backtest and you see the numbers, you know? So I think what I would tell myself, if I could tell myself something in the past, I would just say, hey, lock in with a strategy and then work on your psychology, you know, lock in with a strategy that you know is profitable because you've done the research to see that it's profitable, and then work on your psychology. You know, Ichimoku clouds and MACDs or price action, ITC concepts, smart money concepts, like they all have the potential to be great, but it comes down to the individual, you know, because like, for example, with ITC, like I know he's very popular in the space right now. And a lot of people talk about him and his concepts, but not everyone is profitable with his concepts. So then you have to say, okay, well, why is that? Well, then it comes down to the individual, right? What is the individual doing that's different from what ITC is doing or what any of his profitable students are doing? And usually 9 times out of 10, that's when the psychology comes into play, you know? So just saying that to say that it really, you should want to stay consistent and get to know something very well instead of just trying to spread yourself thin and learn all these different concepts, because I think that just ends up hurting you in the long run. Like you're not being consistent, you know?
And also too much information can lead to confusion.
Yes, absolutely. Analysis paralysis is a real thing.
Yeah. Did you try different styles of trading? What kind of trader are you? Are you a day trader or swinger?
Yeah, so I guess intraday or scalp. I trade on a 5-minute time frame, but I look at setups. How would I explain this? So I look at the 1 hour time frame to get a picture of what's going on in the market. What are my market conditions? And then I take entries on the 5-minute. But when I first started off trading, at the very beginning, I didn't really have a concept. I was just kind of doing what I saw these instructors and these educators were doing. And then I was just kind of following suit. And I was trying to understand the logic, like, okay, why are they buying here? Why are they selling here? Why are these areas important to them? You know? And so, I started off with some price action instructors, just purely price action, no indicators, just whatever's on the chart. And then started learning about different things, MACDs, Ichimokus, everything, even people who were looking at Hakinashin candles and all that stuff. So I think in the first 2 years, that's kind of what it was like. I was kind of bouncing around too much. Moving average strategies, the 20 and the 4, the 50 and the 4. I mean, there's just so many different strategies. It's a lot. But
that's that was exactly how I started. I was treating it like a uni. Every chapter should be checked.
Yeah, exactly.
And how did you find which style suits you? Do you think that it's important do you think that there is a correlation in the style of trading with the personality you have?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad you said that, because when I was on that process of figuring out my psychology, I realized that like I have okay patience, but I don't have the greatest patience. So like for me to try to be a swing trader, there's a level of anxiety that almost feels like torturous. You know, like I don't want to sit in trades for that long. And so I really do think that it depends on your personality style. Some people, they like that. They feel more comfortable knowing that they don't have to actively manage a trade for several days, you know, and if that's how you're designed, if that's how your brain is wired, then you should lean in that direction, you know, always play to your strengths. But I know for me, like I like to be in and out of the trades. I like to have a good volume of trades, right? So like just taking 1 trade or 2 trades a month doesn't really feel that satisfying to me, you know? So that definitely played a part when I was developing my own strategy. But when it was time for me to develop my own strategy, I kind of just, I blanked everything out and I just kind of started from scratch on what felt right to me. And I stopped looking at other people's strategies and what they were doing. I even left social media because at that time, you start comparing what you're doing to what other people are doing. And that can distract you because ultimately you don't know the nuances of what they're doing. Right. Like, yes, they may also be trading the same pair as you, but maybe they're trading it under, a different time frame. Or maybe they have whatever it is that they have, their edge is different. And if you don't understand their edge in totality, then you can't really replicate what they're doing. So by you trying to do that, you're just going to shoot yourself in the leg because you don't understand the logic or the full scope of why they're trading, how they're trading. So I realized, okay, let me just step away from everything. Let me not cloud my mind trying to be like anyone else or try to replicate anyone else's strategy. Let me just figure it out because I knew that I could do it, right? So many other people have done it. So it's not impossible, right? It just takes time and consistency. So I took that time to just figure it out for myself, what works the best for me. And that was the period where everything shifted and I really started to see that success.
Do you have any targets? Like you said that you want to take like more positions, 2 positions are not enough for you per month.
Yeah.
Do you have any like weekly, monthly targets on how many trades you would like to take and percentage that you would like to make?
No, I don't, because I believe in taking what I'm given. Right. So the market is going to give us opportunity. I can't force a trade, so I'm just taking whatever opportunities I get that present itself. But, I like being on the 5 minute because I know I'm just going to get more opportunities, So in terms of percentage, I just like being profitable for the month. Like that's good enough for me. Because I know that it's all scalable, right? 1% with a $100,000 account is just $1,000, but then you have $1 million, or you're managing $1 million in capital, and that 1% is $10,000, right? So it's when you understand how scalable it becomes, it's like, okay, just stay consistent, and you'll reach that point where your volume of capital that you're managing allows you to be financially abundant, regardless of whatever the percentage is, as long as you have a profitable percentage.
Yeah.
So I'm okay. Obviously, I want to make more than 1% a month, but if that happens, I'm okay, and I'm not going to try to readjust my strategy. I'm not going to try. Well, I'll pay attention, but it won't be this big thing where I'm like, oh, screw this strategy, let me start over or something like that. It's more so like, okay, these were the opportunities I had for the month. If I only made 1%, then maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I wasn't paying attention enough, or maybe my psychology wasn't right, or something of that nature. But as long as I'm showing myself that I'm sticking to my strategy and I'm being consistently profitable, then I don't really care that much about if I took 15 or 20 trades, or if I, took 4 trades. It's just about that consistency of profitability for me.
And how are you dealing with the losing streak?
Yeah, so it's dealing with the losing streak it can be a very educational moment, because it allows you to analyze what is your self-talk in that moment, And so like, if I ever find myself losing like multiple trades in a row, then I have to reflect, okay, am I staying consistent with my strategy? That's the first thing. And then I'll be like, okay, well, what is my mindset? Like, am I trying to be cocky with my trades, or, there's something going on with me if I'm having a losing streak. If it's the market conditions, then it'll be obvious for me that it's the market conditions. But I think ultimately it comes down to that self-talk, so instead of beating up on myself, I'll just be like, okay, well, let's just continue to stay consistent. I've shown myself that I've been profitable before. I know the numbers. I know how it all works. Let's just continue to be confident in that. And that's what makes the difference for me, because losing streaks can be hard for anyone. Like, it really makes you question yourself. Am I doing the right thing, or am I even made for this? And I think those are the really pivotal moments, because what you choose to say to yourself in that moment really defines who you are right there. And who you are right there, it then determines the decisions that you're going to make going forward, So I just allow myself to analyze what I'm doing wrong, but also stay confident.
Yeah, because when you have a losing streak, at least something that I really struggled with was when I was having a losing streak, I wasn't like, I was hesitant on every next position, even though I knew that everything is there. I just have to execute. Yeah. But even though I know that everything is checked, you have to make quick decisions, because I'm also executing on 3 minutes and 5 minutes. You have to make quick decisions, and the losing streak is making that you're not as quick as you have to be, and then you miss the trade, and then it causes like frustration. So they're kind of like lined up, and it requires a lot of work to like kind of know how to control such kind of situations. But it's good that you have a journal. Do you also journal your emotions, or you only journal your trades?
Yeah, I journal them both for sure. I journal them both. So like, I'll have my entry, my exit, the date, the time that I took the trade, and then I'll write down like, what was I thinking? I thought this trade was going to win because of this, or I saw this setup before over here and I felt really confident, or whatever it is that I was thinking and feeling. I'll also write that down.
Interesting. So you do it all before and after the trade, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Not many people do it, but I love doing it as well, because in that way you can definitely like recognize, like when you have a bad day, how you're performing. When something is happening, you can like definitely understand how you perform in different days, and in when you're in different moods, when you sleep less, or when you have stressful days at work and all that. Would you like to share your screen and show us your strategy and how you approach the markets?
Absolutely. The way how I trade is I'm utilizing price action, but I also have 3 indicators that I use for confluence. And so what I do is, it's pretty simple, honestly. I'll get on the chart on a 1 hour, and what I like to do is I like to mark the zones of support and resistance that I see on a 1 hour. So an area like this.
You don't go higher than 1 hour, right?
I will, but when I first get on the charts, I'll mark it on a 1 hour just to see what my current conditions are. But I absolutely do look at the 4 hour, the daily, and the weekly. So yeah, when I start, I'll just come in on the 1 hour and I'll just mark these zones of support and resistance. And once I have all these zones marked out, then I'll go to the 5 minute and I'll start looking for potential entries. So I'll bring this down to the 5. And so, yeah, I usually trade, but I trade the same time every day, so which for me is 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'll get on the charts.
So London session.
Yeah, London session for me. And when I see a potential setup, so for me, what I'm looking for is, one, I want to see what direction price is trending in. So I'm looking to see, do I have higher highs, higher lows, lower highs, lower lows. That's my first indication. And then after that, I'm going to utilize my indicators for confluence. So the way how I look at it,
This is Bollinger Bands, right? That you have.
Yeah. So I utilize Bollinger Bands, the stochastic, and moving average. So yeah, I know
200, right?
Yeah, 200 moving average. For me, and the way how I ended up using these indicators, like I said before, I was looking at high frequency trades, and I realized that using this combination of indicators allowed me to win like 70 to 80% of the time. But I don't like high frequency trades because, like I said, you can't even get a 1-to-1 ratio on a trade. So to me, that just doesn't make any sense. So so if I see price making these higher highs and higher lows, I'm basically waiting for I'm waiting to see if price is above the moving average or if it's below. That's the first thing. So if price is above the moving average and we have high highs and high lows, we just continue to go with the trend. Price is trending upwards. And then the same thing inversely. So for me, if I see price doing something like this, where it's pushing upwards and then it's above the moving average and the stochastic is like below the 25, what that's letting me know is that price is beginning to get exhausted to the downside, right? So the trend is upwards, but it's exhausted to the downside. And once it gets exhausted to the downside, there's a higher likelihood that price will begin to push up. And so that's the logic that I have behind my trade. So once I see something like that happen, I'll want to enter as soon as I see price begin to push back to the upside. So a setup like this is something that I would take. So for me, when it comes to risk management, I'll either trade 1% or maybe 1.5%, depending on how valid the setup looks. So a setup like this where price is very close to the moving average, I'll trade like 1%, and my stop loss will be based off of that area. So if price rejected off of here, my stop loss is going to be right below there, and then my take profit is going to be the next zone that I marked up to the one area. Because if price is moving in an uptrend, it's going to continue to move. It has to make a higher high. So it has to at least go reach that zone. It might reach that zone and reject it, create a double top, or it's going to reach the zone and go past it. So that's usually how I find my stop loss and my entries. And so a setup like that would give me a 1 to 6. And and I usually don't, if the trade is below a 1 to 1.5, then I'm not that interested. Anything above that is a green flag for me to go. But if it's below that, it has to be like a really good setup, but I usually won't take anything below 1.5, or 1 to 1.5. But yeah, so as I'm sitting and I'm watching this happen on the 5 minute, as soon as I what I'm doing is I already know where my stop loss is going to be. It's going to be below this zone. What I don't know is I don't know exactly where this candle is going to close. So I'll just be sitting here and I'll be marking, waiting for this candle to close. So as soon as this closes, okay, 12 pips. And then I already have my lot size calculation set up. So I know, 12 pips is going to be at 1%. That's going to be 8.33. So I already have that on the side, maybe on my other screen or on my phone or something like that. And as soon as I see that candle close and I know it closed at 12 pips, I'm going to put in my lot size for 8.33 so that I'm risking 1% of a $100,000 account. And then I'm in the trade. So, yeah. So I'll enter as soon as that candle closes.
And do you actively manage the trade, or you just set your limits and then you walk away?
Yeah. So that's an amazing question. The way my logic behind it is it depends on how much I'm up in my account already. So for example, let's say I'm already up 5% in my account for the week or the month or whatever the case may be. I will let the trade just run. If I'm not up 5%, then I'll actively manage. And what that looks like for me is, on this trade, for example, this first candle closed here, and then we have this candle here. So if I'm down 5% or less than 5%, I'll put my stop loss here so that even if this trade reverses on me, I'm not losing anything. And I'm willing to take that small gain as opposed to losing that 1%. I'm fine with that because I know that I can come back later in the markets and I'll find more setups that will move in my direction. But once I'm up 5%, then I'm willing to risk that 1% loss in order to get that clear 1 to 6, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So another setup would be so trading London. The other setup that I would take would be once I see something like this. So for me, what I'm noticing is that price is below the moving average, and price seems to be exhausted here based off of my stochastic. It's above the 75 area. So at this point, what I would be waiting for is to see price close to the downside. So once I see a bearish candle, I'd be willing to take that trade. So as soon as I see this setup, I'd be willing to take that sell and I'd put my stop loss above here. And depending on what's going on in the market, like let's say if there's news, because I also pay attention to fundamentals, mostly for time, depending on what the news is. If it's, FOMC or, job releases or anything like that, non-farm payroll, I'll definitely pay attention to those in terms of trade. But mostly I'm just paying attention for the time because I don't want to be in a trade if I think there's volatile news coming out. Because anything can happen at that point. So for me, once I saw this setup, I would have my stop loss here, and I'd probably have my my TP somewhere. I'd have my TP down here. I'd be looking for a take profit down there. And
so you're just checking fundamentals in order to avoid trading high impact news.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So this would be an example of my confluences and all my trading criteria being met. Once I saw that this first bearish candle, after price already being below the moving average and price being exhausted above the stochastic, and also touching the top channel of this Bollinger Band as well. And I would take the sell from here. Stop loss would be above this area, and my targets would be my next 1 hour zone below here. And so I would just this is the type of trade that I would actively manage. I would just let that play out, and eventually price at TP. But I'd just be moving my stop into profit here, here, and here. So. And that
was an amazing one. 1 to 14. That's incredible. Yeah. And do you take also partials on the way, or you're just trailing the stop?
No, I'm just trailing the stop. I hardly do I ever go in and take partials. I just trail the stop.
You told me that you have like 3 accounts that you're currently managing.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if you implement the same risk on all of them, or you have you're like trying out different risk at like levels on the different accounts.
No, so I'm actually I'm trading the same risk on all of the accounts just because it's easier for my brain to process, if that makes sense. if I would trade in different risk on all of them, I'd have to do calculations for all of them. And to me, it would just make my trading a little bit too complicated. Mm-hmm. And so I just like to keep things as simple as possible.
Mm-hmm. And is it something that you would like to try out in the future? Like to have an account where you would go higher risk and account with the smaller risk?
Yes, I would. Mm-hmm. I would. It's something I've been thinking about, but like I said, it just seems at this stage, not yet, but down the line, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you been working on EA's development, or it's just something that you would like to consider to do in the future?
Yeah, so I actually tried to develop an EA last year utilizing the same strategy. But what I realized is that there are things that I understand that the EA won't necessarily understand. And so I would need like a machine learning EA, I guess, and able to identify these certain things. So like, for example, I may have all the parameters of my trade go off and the EA would take it, but it's under the conditions of a double top or news is coming out or, things of that nature. So yeah, I think if I can develop a deep learning EA, then that'd be great. And that's something that I'm definitely considering down the line for sure.
Interesting. Good luck with it.
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't ask you, how did you find TFT and how is your experience with us?
Yeah, the Funny Trader. So I believe I found the Funny Trader on YouTube. At the time, I might have been listening to like a trader's podcast or something like that. And I think the video came on and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I never heard of these guys. Ended up signing up. And it's my experience with the Funny Trader has actually been very nice. It's been very nice just in terms of like the support and the opportunities. I mean, just having this opportunity is pretty great. Just to interview and be a part of this community. There's a Discord community. And then also the support you get, like when you pass challenges and things of that nature, you have people reaching out. So it's been great. It's been easy to use. Yeah, definitely. Thank you to Angelo and the whole Fund Trader team because it's really been a great experience, honestly.
What advice would you give to new traders that are just getting started?
To new traders getting started, I would definitely say take your time and document your process. You may not be, what I realized just like between last year and this year is that you may not feel like you're a great trader, but if you can become a good documenter, then you can become a good trader. And the reason I say that is because when I started documenting my trades, I was able to basically make a highlight of every trade that I had that won and every trade that lost. And from that, I was able to synthesize, okay, what are the ingredients of a winning trade and what are the ingredients of a losing trade? And to me, that was so eye-opening because you get to see, okay, there are certain patterns that just replay in the market over and over. So if you can become good at documenting and be able to analyze those patterns, there's a good chance that you can become a good trader, So it's about staying consistent, finding a strategy that works for you, work on your psychology, meaning don't do things like revenge trade or increase the lot size because you lost the last trade. All those, stay away from gambling. If you're trying to trade, but you're doing acts of gambling, then you need to slow the brakes and analyze what it is that you're doing, because that's not the path that you want to go down on, and that can be dangerous because if you start gambling and you start winning, then you validate that type of behavior, but that's not the type of behavior that will lead to consistency. So, just work on your psychology and document everything, because it'll give you the opportunity to see what's really right and what's really wrong over an extended period of time, because anybody can come on the charts and, make some money, but that's not what it's about. It's about being consistent, So that would be my advice.
Yeah. And you said really well with the pattern recognition, because when we see the pattern that a winning trade has, we first have it in our conscious mind, but with time, when you see it repeating, it comes in the subconscious mind.
Exactly.
And things become much, much more easier.
Yeah. I love that you said that, because that's something that I experienced earlier this year, because I didn't trade in January because, the market's slow liquidity. So when the market started picking back up and I started trading towards mid-February, I had this point where it almost felt like you were in flow state, like you don't really have to think about it that much because you've seen it so many times, and that was the first time I really experienced that. But it wouldn't have happened if I didn't start documenting my trades, but it was incredible to experience that, because it almost feels like it's intuition. But like you said, it's just going from this being something that you consciously recognize to something that you subconsciously recognize. And that feeling as a trader, it's almost indescribable because you kind of feel like you're just like one with the charts, you know? So, yeah.
What are your goals with trading and in life in general? Where do you see yourself in 5-10 years?
5-10 years when it comes to trading, definitely doing this full time. So, and for me, what that looks like is right now I'm only trading, you know, London 5-minute. But for me, I want to also trade on the 1 hour. And so once I'm doing that, then I know I'm doing it full time. And also just to manage as much capital as I can successfully. So I know in 5-10 years, it'll just, you know, that's how I see it right now, managing as much as I can. I don't know how much capital that's going to be, you know, because for me right now, I have a funded account and I have a phase 2 in challenge and I have a phase 1 in challenge. And so once I pass those, I'll have 400 in funding. Right. And so for me, what I can see is, okay, if we extrapolate this over this year, by the end of the year, I hope to have $1 million in capital funded. Right. So like, what does that look like in the next 5-10 years? Who knows, right? Because in order to be able to manage $1 million capital in a year, I mean, to me, that's pretty profound, right? And so the beauty of this is that it's so scalable that it almost feels like there's no limit to where it could go, you know. But as long as I am consistently profitable and consistently doing well with my psychology, then I'm good. And I know that, you know, I didn't think when I first started trading, I had no idea that something like a prop firm was possible, you know? And I think most people don't. Like if you're just starting trading in 2023, like you're in a very unique space because when I started trading, this didn't exist. And so part of what it did is that it played into my psychology of, okay, well, how do I get this $1,000 account up to 10,000 so that, you know, I'm making more money so that I don't have to work as much. And that you don't realize how much that plays in your psychology because it makes you want to take maybe it makes you want to be more aggressive with your percentage or with the type of trades that you take. And so to be in this position now where I know, okay, all I have to do is stay consistent and I'll be able to manage 100,000 in capital. Like that's pretty amazing. It makes you feel more relaxed. And also it gives you hope as a trader because some people might find it a bit daunting to try to go from $1,000 to $100,000 of your own capital. You know, that's going to take a lot of time and effort. So to be in this position, it gave me hope. It gave me more hope in trading and it gave me a peace of mind, you know, because the entry to get in here is it's low, you know, not saying that, not trying to be, because I know everyone has different situations, financial situations, but if you're able to use $500 if you're able to leverage $500 to get to access 100,000 in capital, that's pretty amazing. You know, like I don't really know too many industries where you can do that, you know, so going back to where I see things in 5-10 years, consistently profitable, having good psychology. And then I know that all the success is just going to be a byproduct of that, you know?
Yeah. And do you have other passions apart from trading?
Yeah. Apart from trading, I'm really getting into my fitness. That's been a big thing for me. And I don't know, I like designing. So I'm working with some, you know, AI things to help design maybe like characters or I don't know. I just like finding different ways of expressing. So that's more so what I'm into. And I like going outside. I'm kind of, I'm a bit introverted. I don't really go out and like party and stuff too much anymore because I kind of feel like I have these goals and I feel like those things kind of take me away from that. So I kind of just try to do more wholesome things like going outside, maybe go hiking or read or, you know, things that I feel like are making me better because it makes me a better trader. And I think for me right now, personally, like this is my main goal, just expanding what I have in trading because I know that it gives me the opportunity to do so much more than anything else that I want to do. So this is my main goal, but I do have a couple hobbies and stuff.
It's cool. It's cool to hear because I turned from a party animal to being super introvert and not willing to like go out with friends at all. Like enjoying nature and working on mindfulness techniques and such kind of things.
Yeah.
Really cool. Any last words that you would like to share?
To anyone who's watching, just know that it's possible. You know, that it's absolutely possible. And it really depends on you and the work that you're willing to put into this. But it is absolutely possible. There was a point where, I felt like I was losing trades. I didn't really understand what I was doing. And it was very frustrating. And so to come from that, to be in a situation where I am now, where I'm managing 100,000 in capital, and I'm having an interview with Anna, and experiencing what is here at the Funded Trader team, I am proof that it's possible to go from being so frustrated and so doubtful and so naive to being in a position where you're actually seeing progress, real progress. So it can be done. That's why I would like for people to know it can be done.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your experience with us. I wish you best of luck with the accounts, and hope to have a follow-up in the near future with more success.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Thank you, Anna, so much for having me. This has been a great interview, so thank you.
My pleasure. To all of you watching, thank you so much for watching. It's been a really lovely interview. So don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you haven't done that yet, and show us some love in the comments down below. Good luck with your trading, and until next time.